184 calories and I ran for 13 minutes. Not bad. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you can't tell, I literally just finished a run, but I wanted to sit down and just basically spill my guts. I feel like that's a trending topic on my channel, is me sitting and just like spilling my guts. But honestly, I don't feel like I can just like sit back and not say anything about this. I just watched the documentary, Tch The Water, by Dr. Brian Ardis with Stu Peters. Literally how this happened was, it is April 12th, it's 7:21 p.m. Around like 3, I was in bed watching TikToks. I had a headache, I had a migraine at the day off. I was just like watching TikToks. I saw 2 TikToks come up basically talking about Tch The Water. And I saw it twice and I was like, what is this? So I clicked, I watched the comments. You know, people were watching it. I was trying to find more information about it. It was really vague. I assumed that it had to do with water, obviously. So I YouTubed it. I was like, okay, let's YouTube Tch The Water. Literally found nothing. It was just like people's commentary. So I was like, okay, this is weird. I'll mention this later in the video as well, but I literally on TikTok searched Tch The Water, and I'll insert a screenshot, but basically TikTok doesn't allow you to search for that because it goes against their community guidelines, I guess, which is so convenient because of everything I'm going to talk about this video. Long story short, I searched up on YouTube, couldn't find anything, switched it from relevance to upload date, so it was like the most recent stuff that was uploaded, obviously, on the platform, and I found the hour-long video. My boyfriend ended up actually going to their official website, and I watched the whole thing. It's about an hour long. Essentially, I just want to get into it. So it is about how COVID originated from basically snake venom, and to me, it's just so up that we're even talking about this. But if you think of, like, in the documentary, they talk about this. Virus basically means venom in Latin, and corona, if you go on like the 13th down, what he was mentioning, literally says the king, or, you know, it basically has to do with the Catholic Church and the Vatican, the cobra venom, or the snake venom.
Virus meant and means venom. Corona means crown. It actually could read King Cobra Venom.
If you think of like the Catholic Church, what do they tell you to avoid is like the snake, right? There's always like the serpent, the evil kind of situation in that. And a lot of people are gonna think this is like a huge conspiracy, and I totally understand that, you know, this could definitely shatter a lot of people's realities and thought processes. And for me, you know, I've seen how COVID has played out throughout the years. We've lived it. We've all seen that reality. We've all been told to wear masks one day, and then within 24 hours, we're told we're able to take our masks off. We've seen the restrictions. We've seen people close their businesses down. We've all lived that. We get it, right? But on the other half of the coin, you know, to be open and to make a fair judgment, you have to look at everything provided. When this came out, I had goosebumps because he had mentioned that there was someone that worked under a professor in Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh or something. I'll put the title if I can find it.
Who works at the University of Pittsburgh.
After a researcher is shot and killed.
He was basically doing research on, and there were 19
toxic venom proteins that specifically target organs in your body.
Oh, I'm gonna butcher this because I'm totally not a science person, but there's 19 different, for lack of a better word, strains in the venom, right? And COVID-19, but he was researching it and he ended up finding out that it wasn't a virus at all. It basically was derivative of venom, snake venom. King Cobra, I think they mentioned a rattlesnake. They also mention, what was the other one? It has like a red head. They're all vipers, right? It's all from the venom. And it's so crazy because it literally goes into, in certain people's water, that was like put in people's water, and like the virus as a whole, that was like when you get the vaccine. I'm a little scattered because I literally just spent 2 hours talking to my brother and watching it, and I just worked out, obviously, so I'm like a little frantic, but I wanted to sit down and film this because I feel like my stream of consciousness is still fresh from watching it. So I apologize if I'm like scattered or like all over the place, but this is just me, like I said, venting and spilling my guts, so it's not supposed to be polished. There was a certain part where they basically mentioned that in the vaccines, and like Pfizer had worked with one of the companies and all of this stuff. I need a minute just to like collect my thoughts. there were different companies, you know, doing research on venom of snakes and all of this stuff. And what they did is they basically poisoned the whole world with the virus. And when you get the vaccine, it triggers certain things in you. When apparently like the nicotine in the back of your head or whatever, smoking,
These nicotine receptors that are affected by cobra venom and crate venom.
like kind of goes against that. So like if you get you smoke, it's supposed to like not exactly help, but nicotine basically goes against. And when you get sick, you go to the hospital and there's only one thing that's been approved. Dr. Fauci basically approved one thing to be used as a drip, basically, when you get sick from the hospital. I'll put it on the screen because I'm scattered and I can't think of it.
Studies that he was quoting saying that remdesivir was safe and effective, I knew right away that he was lying.
Also, if you watch this whole entire thing, you would kind of understand where I'm going with this. This isn't supposed to be like me telling you about it. It's just supposed to be like me talking about it. So you'd obviously have to watch to kind of understand what I'm saying. A lot of people after they get the vaccine felt tired and stuff like that is because there's literally like part of the venom is like in you, and that's like what it does. But when you get and you go to the hospital, they put you on a drip, which is like the one thing that I think like a month or two ago was the only thing allowed to be used with. It's basically diluted in water and they give it to you on a drip. And what it does, it's basically snake venom inside of you that's slowing down your breathing and all of this stuff. And then to put a tube down your throat, they have to give you other medicine, which is like also a depressive, which slows down everything as well. And that's what actually in New York, a lot of people were dying, immediately getting on ventilators because the drug was mixing with the other drug and killing people basically. But apparently like 2 sets, so 5 days and 5 days. A lot of people pass away on the 9th day. The 9th day of being in the hospital on the drip is when they pass away.
The 9th day is the day that most people die.
My grandmother in December had her 3rd booster. So her 3rd booster, obviously you feel tired after the booster because there's certain, for lack of a better word, enzymes, whatever, in that booster that have chemical, like that have basically the venom of snakes in it. When you end up getting to the hospital, that's when they put you on the drip that kills you. And my grandma passed away on the 8th day. She went to the hospital and on the 8th day she passed away. I always had a weird feeling because my grandma was an extremely healthy person. Yes, she did get COVID. It's weird that within the week basically the week that she went to the hospital is when she ended up passing away on the 8th day. But the fact that this came out, you know, literally when I watched it, it had been out for 5 hours. And it basically explains that on the 9th day is when people usually pass away after being on the drip. The fact that my grandma passed away within a week of being sick, you know, right during that time, for me, I guess just put something weird in my head that I'm just thinking like, you know, I was starting to catch on to like the COVID bullshit really early on and I never really fully felt right about it. I am a very big believer in science, obviously, but there's certain things that after a certain point did not make sense. It's just very interesting that in the documentary that they put that the drip slowly kind of makes a venom attacks certain organs and basically shuts them down. And you obviously don't pass away with any proof because it's like if you're diabetic, it attacks, you know, the kidneys, the livers, the heart, if you have heart issues. You know, I apologize if this video is hard to follow. It's not supposed to be this super clinical breakdown of everything. I really, really hope that Russell Brand makes a video on this, or Joe Rogan kind of talking about Watch the Water and, you know, everyone's thoughts on it coming out. It was released probably close to like a couple hours ago, but it has 7,000 views on their website. And I just remember seeing it on TikTok, and then I was in the bath watching like a clip on YouTube before. And it's funny because as I was watching the video on YouTube, it had gotten taken down. And then when you search it up on TikTok, it's completely flagged. So clearly, you know, people don't necessarily want you to be talking about this. And even talking about it right now, there's probably people that are like, she's crazy, da 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 da. She believes all this, that, and the third. But for me, I want to give every side a chance. And for me to watch that and not speak on it, I feel like I would be disservicing myself. Like I have to be open and honest with, you know, the conspiracy crazy side of it, because at the end of the day, I want peace and love in the world. And, you know, this is literally good versus evil. It's hard to fathom because there's so much weight on this. And, you know, it's so wild to think you want to work and you want to have a nice life and you want to be healthy and you think of like your little bubble. But when you put your head on like the bigger picture and like Jeffrey Epstein and the issues with Disney and people, you know, yelling to put Bill Gates in jail, and now this documentary coming out basically about Fauci and Pfizer And all of the research that was done in labs about snake venom, it basically means the cobra or king cobra venom. It's literally wild to think of the other half of the coin, because it's so easy to put the news on and be like, yeah, this is real, this is my life, you know, this is where I get my daily updates. But then when you step outside of the mainstream media and you start poking around on the woke conspiracy theories that are all end up coming true in 6 months, and people that do critical thinking, it's extremely telling and wild to think what's coming out and what's being said. And for me, I think it's so scary, really. I have never really been into science. I've never really been into math. My brain doesn't operate that way. When I started watching this documentary, I was so interested because it was something that I didn't understand. So a part of me wanted to give it a chance and listen to what they were saying. It's so crazy how every intricate detail plays into the other. And it always comes back full circle. Like there's always a certain fact that comes back to this, and then it opens up this, and then this means this. And I think that is the part that I find so fascinating, because it's not people feeding everybody else's narrative and agenda. It's people that are doing a different opinion and a different side of it. I find it so interesting. And I obviously, you know, there's two sides really, but I wouldn't say left and right. I would just say like there's this story, and then there's like the mainstream media story, and COVID is what we've been told over the last little bit. But I think if we can all just like stand together and want peace and love and, you know, fight off the evil, eventually certain things will come to light. And I've had this weird feeling in the new year that something is going to happen. And I think this video was a really, really good reflection of possibly a conversation starting. I think a lot of people are becoming aware to basically the government trying to make all of us broke. And instead of liberal meaning that we want to love and support each other, it's now turning into how can we bankrupt everyone in this country. Everybody's kind of opening the lines of conversation. And I think it's really heartbreaking, myself included. I'm not gonna lie. When the truckers were down there, I was like, this sounds very like, you know, woke, like I had my own judgments, but towards the end of it, I was on board. I was like, okay, everybody's out for a purpose. You know, there's kids and there's families, and like everyone's sticking together. And the fact that the Pfizer documents were released, and now in court, it's proven that there was no firearms, no violence. It's proving the truckers right, just goes to show how far people will go to divide us. Left, right, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican. You know what I mean? Like it always has to be one or the other. But the reality is, most of us share views on both sides, and both of us share views for different certain elements to each piece of the pie. If all of us can just put our differences aside, but stick together for the greater good as opposed to bad and evil, I genuinely think we'll all find a common ground. And working class people that are able to do critical thinking will come together, will stand up, will find a way through this. And I am so excited that we're finally starting a conversation, because we're done with people not being able to afford food and live paycheck to paycheck. Most people, if they lost their job that are working class, would be on the streets because they wouldn't be able to afford to live, right? If we're living paycheck to paycheck and we lose our job, we're on the street, right? A lot of us have to think that way, and it's a scary way to think, right? We're all very comfortable and lucky. Some of us are struggling as it is. I myself struggle in certain ways. I don't know. This video is seriously, if you're open to a different side of the story, I would strongly recommend checking it out. I apologize that a lot of my points aren't, you know, literally dropping down and super in tune and, you know, precise, but I had my stream of consciousness with my brother on the phone after it aired. We had shared a lot of our own thoughts and a lot of, you know, people pinning each other against each other when all we need to do is spread love. I kind of had my, you know, break it down with him after I watched it. So after I watched it, you know, took a minute to go for a run and work out before, you know, we have dinner. But I also wanted to do a stream of consciousness on April 12th at 7 p.m. I watched this at around probably 3 to 5 p.m. when it was first released. And yeah, I definitely think that this will be a conversation that will happen. And I don't know, I definitely wanted to speak on it because I feel like a lot of my channel is a reflection of me just spilling my guts and having a stream of consciousness, whether it's on, you know, Kim Kardashian telling people that they need to work harder.
Get your fucking ass up and work.
It seems like nobody wants to work these days.
That's so true.
Or, you know, the elites or the World Economic Forum. I feel like I'm always trying to touch on my opinions in an open, loving, honest way. Obviously, my name is Marley, so Rasta man, peace and love. But I don't know, watching this really spoke to a lot of things that I was feeling, a lot of things that I guess needed closure to, and dates and times, and it's wild. It's literally wild. If you haven't seen it, please watch it if you're open to it. I just wanted to basically spill my guts, like I said. And yeah, I will always, you know, stand for peace and love and unity, and, you know, together we stand and divided we fall. So I love you guys so much. If you watch this, I appreciate you. I love you. If you do end up watching this, I would probably recommend watching this first and then watching my video, just so that the things I say actually make some sense, because I'm just, like I said, speaking with my stream of consciousness. But I love you guys so much. I hope you have a beautiful evening. We're supposed to have an extremely blizzard cold front coming in. It literally says winter storm warning. So it's gonna be crazy the next couple days, but yeah, I don't know. I hope you guys have a good evening, a good night. Spread love, spread kindness, and I'll see you guys in the next video.